What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex, and you're watching the TF Movie Show. This is just Webster's. We're talking about the Transformers live-action movie franchise. This is episode number 64, and we got some big news for Transformers 7. That's right, I'm calling it Transformers 7 because this is the 7th installment in the Transformers live-action movie franchise. This is the 7th film if you include Bumblebee, and I include Bumblebee, so this would be movie number 7 from Paramount Pictures and Hasbro. And this is all really exciting stuff because we haven't gotten any big news for a long time except for some news about some writers and a release date. But besides that, we know nothing else until now. Now, before I talk about what I have to talk about, I just want to give a big shout out to two awesome members of the Ragin Nation, and that is J Holston3 and also DMB Ashy. Thank you so much for following me on Instagram, being part of the Ragin Nation, and I appreciate your comments. So thank you so much for that. You guys are awesome. Anyways, let's get on with talking about this big news that I have for you guys for Transformers 7, and that is, it looks like we now have a director. And his name isn't Michael Bay or Travis Knight. It is somebody entirely different. I just saw this tweet, and it looks like it's pretty official. Not 100% official, mostly because Paramount or the studios haven't actually officially announced it, but they're very close to signing him on the dotted line, apparently, okay? Now, this is from Deadline, and I'm just going to read you the headline. And what the heck is going on here? My Mac is frozen. Okay, here we go. All right, I think it just had a little bit of a had a hard time loading, but looks like we're back in business. Okay, here we go. Breaking news: Creed 2 director Stephen Caple Jr. set to helm next Transformers film. Transformers Creed 2 director Stephen Caple Jr. tapped to direct next installment in Paramount and Hasbro franchise. Now that's a pretty big deal because not only do we have a new director, but this director is tapped to helm the next installment in the franchise. Excuse me. And by tapped, we mean that he's not officially signed on, but he is literally the pretty much the final choice. Like they're really, really close to final negotiations. And let's just read what it has to say in the rest of the article. Following a lengthy search, Paramount Pictures and Hasbro Studios have set Stephen Caple Jr. to direct the new Transformers pick in the reinvented universe. Insiders add while negotiations have yet to begin, he is the top choice among studio executives and producers, and a deal should close in the coming weeks. After meeting with several top executives, including Paramount Motion Pictures president Emma Watts, the studio saw Caple as the best fit for the franchise that the studio chose to revamp at the top of the year. In January, the studio made the decision to give the entire franchise a revamp by having two simultaneous scripts that are in active development, one by James Vanderbilt and one by Joby Harold. Harold's film eventually would be chosen as the next installment in the franchise, and once he had given his final touches on the script at the end of the summer, the studio began taking director pitches on the next film. And there you have it. Those are the words from the Deadline article. And wow, we got a lot to digest. Okay, we definitely got a lot to digest because, first of all, I think the very, very first question is, which story is he going to direct? First of all, there's James Vanderbilt's script and Joby Harold's script. And it says that Joby Harold's script will most likely be chosen as the next installment in the franchise. So what exactly is he working on? So let's just go back in time in a previous article about these different scripts. Okay, so check this out. This is a Deadline article from back in May 1st of 2020. And it says that the studio is in development on two different projects, one by James Vanderbilt and the other by Joby Harold. The Vanderbilt project, from what we've heard, is based on the Transformers spin-off Beast Wars, which are robots that transform into robotic animals like Cheetor, Optimus Primal, Rhinox, and more. The other is reportedly in the Bumblebee universe. It's not definite yet which one will make it to production. So let's go back to that article, the original article, and it says there's two scripts in simultaneous active development. but it says that Joby Harold's film will eventually be chosen as the next installment. So James Vanderbilt's film is the Beast Wars script, and Joby Harold's film is the film that will be set in the Bumblebee universe. So potentially, I'm guessing, a sequel to Bumblebee, or rather, I won't call it a sequel, a follow-up to Bumblebee, except that it'll be a Transformers film unless it isn't. Okay? So one thing we could eliminate out right now based on this article is that it's not a Beast Wars film. And I think that a lot of people, a lot of fans right now are rejoicing that it's not a Beast Wars film from scriptwriter James Vanderbilt. Because I've been reading the comments and not a lot of people are too crazy about the Beast Wars film. You know what, honestly, I don't care which one it is as long as we get more Transformers movies. Because I just want to see it happen at this point. The last time we saw a Transformers film was Bumblebee in 2018. That's a 4-year gap. Because, well, you know, that's a long time, you know, to go without a Transformers film. We've been getting them 2 years apart from each other, 3 years apart from each other, and now it's pretty much almost 4 years. So I want to see something happen. And they've just been talking about it with not a lot of news. Now we have something solid. Okay, now I do want to talk a little bit more about what we could expect. Okay, so let's look at the director himself, Stephen Caple Jr. Never heard of him. Okay, and I will say this. Okay, no, there is no prolific director that will want to touch the Transformers universe after what Michael Bay did to it. I'm just going to throw that out there, okay? What Michael Bay did to the Transformers universe, or the Transformers live-action movie franchise, set the bar for what a Transformers live-action film can be like. That's the bar. That's the standard. And I'm telling you right now that no prolific director will ever touch this franchise. Make no mistake about it. Steven Spielberg's not going to direct it. J.J. Abrams is not going to direct it. Jon Favreau's not going to direct it. Robert Zemeckis is not going to direct it. Peter Jackson, Jon Favreau, Christopher Nolan, they're not going to touch this franchise ever. Not in a million years. But a lot of young directors will want to touch that. And the thing is that a lot of young directors just want a shot. They just want a shot. It doesn't even matter if they're a fan or not of this franchise or even the cartoons. They just want a shot. And to know that their next film that they're going to direct in their young career is going to be a big studio, big budget blockbuster film, definitely going to be enthusiastic and excited and positively excited about that. So that's something that a lot of fans should keep that in mind, okay? So I think it's important to know that, you know, not to expect any big directors to direct this. Expect young directors. I mean, look at Travis Knight. His career mostly consisted of, in fact, only consisted of, besides Bumblebee, stop motion animation from his Leica Studios, right? He never directed any big budget blockbuster films that are live action. His are more like, you know, stop motion animations, which a lot of people like, but it's not in the same level playing field, although they are all motion pictures, but still, you know, it's a different genre of films, right? Anyways, we got Stephen Caple Jr. Let's take a look at his credits. Let's take a look at his career, okay? So I'm at his IMDB right now. And his career started in 2011 with a bunch of short films, followed by some TV shows. Okay, he's been the director of some TV shows. And then finally, he directed 2 feature-length films, The Land and Creed 2. I loved Creed 2. I don't think it's as good as the first one, but I think Creed 2 is still a great film nonetheless. So that's a good thing. His career, consisting of 2 feature-length films, are both considered good to great by critics. Check out what we have here on Rotten Tomatoes. We got a 70% rating on The Land and an 83% rating on Creed 2. So definitely like we're talking about 100% on Rotten Tomatoes scores. So, you know, 100% of his feature films are all good according to Rotten Tomatoes, okay? That's still a good thing. People quantify success by using this website. So, I mean, I'm not going to judge this website, but it's still something to go by, okay? Even though not everybody goes by that, but it's still something to go by, okay? And I loved Creed 2. Okay, the next thing I want to know is he a fan of G1? Okay, that's something important, okay? We knew that Travis Knight was a fan of G1. I mean, he is a fan of G1. I mean, you can tell right away when you watch Bumblebee that he definitely inserted a lot of his the things that he loved about G1 into that film. So it's very, very evident. Okay, Michael Bay was never a fan of G1. He kind of learned everything through Transformers School and made it his own with the Transformers 2007 film. Okay, so he made it his own. Okay, now I really wonder what Stephen Caple Jr. is gonna do. Now, if he follows up with Bumblebee, then we're gonna get that I guess that G1 style, which is fantastic, but I want to know if he's a fan of G1, and the only way to really know that is to find out how young or old he is. Okay, so let's just go to his Wikipedia right now. Let's find out when he was born. Born February 16th, 1988. G1 came out in 1984. The animated Transformers film came out in 1986. So he's definitely, obviously not alive when G1 was around. He was not alive when the first movie was around. But that doesn't mean he's not a fan of it. It's just that he didn't grow up with it when it originally came out. He, if anything, if at all, he found out about Transformers, the cartoons, afterwards. And if anything at all, I think he probably got exposed to Beast Wars first before he learned about G1. I'm just looking at it this way because even Shia LaBeouf was not a G1 fan. He was a Beast Wars fan before he got into G1, and that was because of when he grew up. The timeline of his childhood. So right away we know right now that he didn't grow up in the 80s, and he didn't get exposed to that at the time when Transformers came out. And I think that plays a factor. I think that definitely plays a factor because, when you are growing up during that time, and then you find out that there's this new cartoon coming out, and it's Transformers, you want to be there for it when it first began. If you want to learn more about Transformers after it came out, then you have to know about it through other sources. Like, for example, watching Beast Wars first and then discovering G1 afterwards. And that makes a big difference on your perspective of G1. It's basically like when you don't know about it, but then somebody tells you that it exists, and then you go check it out afterwards, right? So if his first exposure to Transformers was Beast Wars, and then he loves Beast Wars, and then sees G1, and maybe he might feel like, this is kind of weird. I kind of like Beast Wars more. I grew up on Beast Wars. This looks kind of old. But anyways, I'm overanalyzing it a bit, but I still want to know for my own personal sake, right? So that's something to keep in mind, okay? Because we still don't know which film he's doing. We don't know 100% which script he's going to be using. But I think we will find out in the coming weeks. So this is all very exciting stuff. I don't know about you guys, but I think this is very exciting stuff. I'm excited for a new Transformers film in general. I'm also excited about seeing a new vision that isn't from Michael Bay. And I'm also excited about, and if this is really happening, seeing the Bumblebee sequel, the follow-up to Bumblebee sequel, because a lot of people love Bumblebee and the G1 aspects about it. So let's follow up with that, especially since the last scene in Bumblebee was new Autobots arriving, Bumblebee and Optimus Prime in his G1 mode reuniting on Earth. So I think there's going to be some pretty cool stuff happening if that's what were to happen. Now, on the other hand, if we end up with James Vanderbilt's script, then we're going to end up getting Beast Wars, and which might be a better thing for Stephen Caple Jr., considering that if he really did grow up with a Transformers film, or Transformers series, it would have been Beast Wars, and that would be right up his alley. So, it's could be one or the other still, but I think that we will get the an official announcement in the coming weeks. So at this point, you know, it's pretty close to signing on the dotted line. At the end of the day, I think that all we'll get at this point is new directors, like young directors with very young careers that'll end up tackling this franchise. Because, like I said, there's no prolific director that would ever touch this franchise. So, and I think that it's a great opportunity for young directors to take this on. And I think it's also the fact that a lot of young directors want their big shot. They just want their big shot at a big budget movie. To go from a small independent film to a movie like Creed, you know, which is still a big named franchise. You know, it's a big name property, but it's still not a huge film with giant explosions and big action sequences. And then moving on to a big blockbuster, which has a huge following. That's a big deal for a young director. So, you know, I think he's game. Whether he's a fan of Transformers or not, he's definitely game and on board with this. I mean, who wouldn't want to have this opportunity? Okay, you're not going to say no to that. Okay, and if you did say no to that, oh, you're going to have some major regrets. So anyways, that's all I got to say in this video. I just want to hear your feedbacks about it on the comments section below. What do you want to see? And also, how do you feel about Stephen Caple Jr. As the director of this new film? It looks like it really is happening, so you can just put aside your comments about wanting Michael Bay to come back, because that's definitely not happening. So what do you think about it? What do you think about the fact that he wasn't born in the 80s? And what do you think about the fact that his career it only consists of 2 films and moving on to a big budget blockbuster film? Do you think he's ready for that? Let me know in the comments section below. And as always, if you enjoyed watching this video, you want to see more, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation, also follow me on Twitter, Ragin Nation. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.